All right, guys, welcome back to another video for Sandcombe Scouting. I know it's been a while. It was an incredibly busy summer for me. I am pretty much done with the job I was doing in the summer and, getting moving forward with senior year of college and my internship right now for PSF, Pro Sports Fans. Definitely a good app to check out if you're into content like this. And if you're into sports in general, they got different stuff for everybody. So I highly recommend checking that out. So today, we're going to be doing our first mock draft of the 2024 season. We're only about a week, technically like a week and a half if you count week 0 into the college football season. And I think we've already learned a little bit about prospects that might be rising up and perhaps falling down the boards as well. So I'm not going to do any trades in this mock draft besides trading this number 2 pick here, because I think it's pretty unrealistic that the Cardinals would want to keep both top 2 picks when they seem to be in a rebuild mode right now and could get an immense amount of value for, even if they decide to draft Caleb Williams at number 1 and move on from Kyler, which would be incredibly difficult due to his contract. Then they could get an immense amount of value for trading number 2 away, and for a team that wants to draft Drake May, or even perhaps, where is he? Shedeur Sanders, 510 passing yards week 1. He definitely looks like a Power 5 player. I mean, I know that was a big criticism of him coming into the season, is that he can play in the HBCUs, but isn't a Power 5 quality player. He made everybody eat their words. You got to respect it. Colorado looks to be legit. So the number 1 pick right here, although I do think the Cardinals would definitely rather have Caleb Williams than Kyler Murray, I just think his contract is too untradeable. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to trade this pick to, trying to think of a team that's been looking for a quarterback one for a while but hasn't been able to lock one down due to either draft picks or bad contracts or something like that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to trade the number 1 pick to Washington, since they seem to be really struggling to find good quarterback talent lately. So we're going to move up from 1 to 6. We're going to throw a future first in there as well. And then we're going to throw in the current second too. I know it would probably be a little bit more than this in real life, but there's only a limited amount of picks I can trade, and I have to go with the value that the computer agrees with, which is a little bit stupid, but I like this draft site in general, so I'm not going to argue with it too much. So now the Commanders have moved up to number 1. They're going to go with the golden boy, Caleb Williams. I mean, on top of his Heisman season last year, he has just looked flawless this year. Been great on the ground, been great throwing the ball, making Patrick Mahomes level throws off weird platforms and zipping the ball in the air without his feet set, evading sacks. He just looks exactly like what you think the new prototype for a quarterback should be. So then now at number 2, we got the Cardinals sticking and picking here. And I think it's a little bit of a no-brainer if they're not going to go with a quarterback, go with the second best prospect in the draft. Go with, or at least according to this site, go with Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he's a generational receiver talent. That term does get thrown around a lot, but he truly is a generational receiver talent. Incredible hands, 6'4", solid route runner, got the pedigree in his family, been putting up amazing stats at Ohio State. I think he is just a top-notch receiver prospect. Now, number 3, we got Tampa Bay. Obviously, the NFL season hasn't started yet, so I can't speak to how Baker Mayfield has been performing. However, I expect that it will be rather lackluster. And so we're going to take the best quarterback on the board right here, take Drake May. His first game was all right. I don't think it wowed anybody too much. We've already seen how good he was last year. I think it was a little bit more of the same, kind of a bad interception in there. But, everybody throws interceptions. Nobody's throwing 55 touchdown seasons with 0 interceptions. Like, you just want to keep it to a minimum and hope that he can continue making good reads. And he did definitely lose some talent on the offense, such as his number 1 receiver, Josh Downs, and stuff like that will definitely put a hit on a quarterback's ability to run an offense. Now, number 3, we got the LA Rams. They could be looking to go quarterback as well. We've done 2 quarterbacks in the top 3. I would like them to take a quarterback. However, I'm just not 100% sure. I mean, Jordan Travis would be in consideration for sure. Shador Sanders as well. I mean, Michael Penix Jr. has looked unbelievable at Washington. Uh, Quinn Ewers, we haven't seen enough of yet. I mean, Riley, I would never take him here, but Riley Leonard looks pretty good for Duke against Clemson. How about that upset? But I think what we're going to do here is since they're going to need to get into a broader rebuild, I don't think they're a quarterback away from continuing dominance. I mean, Cooper Kupp, nagging injuries. Aaron Donald is on the brink of retirement. They traded Jalen Ramsey. Um, I really think we're just going to go with the best available prospect on the board, and I think we're going to go with offensive tackle Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. Was draft eligible last year. Could have potentially been the top tackle off the board last year. I think he would have been, and I love that prospect a lot. Now you got the Colts on the board, and I'm very excited to see how Anthony Richardson works out. Could be really good, could be really bad. Definitely going to be a little bit of a learning experience and a growth period. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to get him some help on the offensive line. Although it is a little bit tempting to go Brock Bowers here, get him an electric receiving threat, guy who can block, take handoffs, catch the ball, in contested catches, get open. Like, I think actually what we're going to do is go with Brock Bowers here, give Anthony Richardson a top tier weapon for him to help improve the offense with. Now we got the Cardinals back on the board, and edge is definitely a humongous need for them. However, I have the edges ranked a little bit differently than this website does. I do love Jared Verse. I definitely think he's worthy of a top 10 pick, but I personally think that JT Tuimoloau is the best edge in the class. I know he's ranked at about 17 here as the third edge. I personally think he's the best one. I think he's the most scheme versatile, and I think he has still a lot of improving to do. I think he has a very, very high ceiling. So I'm going to go with JT Tuimoloau out here. Falcons, my favorite team on the clock. This season should be interesting. Second weakest schedule in the league, although the team isn't, crazy good. So we still could end up with a pretty medium record. Sorry, I just need some coffee. I don't think quarterback is the move here, although it is possible. I want to at least give Desmond Ridder a chance. Corner is possible, although I'm not crazy on this corner class. I know a lot of people are, but not me. Edge, there's definitely still a bunch of valuable players on the board. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with Jared Verse out of Florida State. We've got some second and third round edges the past couple of years with Arnold Ebiketie and Zach Harrison and stuff, but I kind of want to get like a dominant top 10 first round edge talent. I mean, we've spent 3 first round picks in a row on skill positions, all in the top 10, with Kyle Pitts at 4, Drake London at 7, and then Bijan at 8. And I think it's a good time that we start investing some actually high first round draft capital on the defense. Now we got the Packers on the clock. You got to see how Jordan Love does. Could potentially be a quarterback spot. However, for now, got to at least give him a chance. Going to improve that offensive line with David Bakhtiari getting older and having an extensive injury history. Go with Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. Former tight end, I believe. I know he's very tall, needs to fill out a little bit more for the NFL level probably, but has been very good for Notre Dame. Now we got the Titans on the clock. A bunch of different directions you can go here. Their offensive line is in shambles. So we're going to go with back-to-back tackles, and we're going to go with the guy who I have next to my board, at least 4 tackles, J.C. Latham at Alabama. Gigantic player. I believe he's – here, I'm going to Google this real quick. I believe he's like 6'7", 360 or something like that. Yeah, 359. Let me see his height. 6'6", 360. Yeah, he is a tremendously big player. He's setting Alabama weight room records, which, if you've been following Alabama football, that's no small feat. I mean, to set weight room records at Alabama, on top of the players who weren't very good but were just really strong, you got to compete with guys like Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Quinnen Williams, all these humongous, like, dominant defensive and offensive tackles. So very impressive. Now we got Chicago back on the board. Edge is definitely a possibility here. Interior D line as well. I believe they took an interior defensive lineman in the draft last year. However, I don't think it was a very high pick, so I'm definitely not afraid of potentially going in that direction. Yeah, I'm not having too many positions that I agree on their rankings with here. I personally think that Michael Hall Jr. is the best interior D lineman in the draft, but I do understand why they preferred. Uh, he goes by John, but Jerzon Newton. Uh, Personally, I'm lower on Mason Smith and especially Leonard Taylor. Chris Jenkins is pretty good. Brandon Dorless. But with the top tier edge talent still on the board, I think we're going to go with Dallas Turner here out of Alabama. Still got to really see him in a number one edge role without Will Anderson now, but I think he's got the potential to be really, really good. Now we got the Raiders on the clock. Quarterback, just flat out going to be the biggest need here. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is a band aid. We all know that. We know Jimmy Garoppolo is in his 30s, never been a true franchise quarterback. I mean, I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo hater where I say it's all because of the system. I think he's serviceable, but when it comes down to it, you can't run your franchise for the next 5 to 7, 8 years with him, especially him being in his early to mid 30s already. So we're going to go with a guy who's been balling out so far this year and last year. We're going to go with Michael Penix Jr., really making some NFL throws, showing that he has true NFL level arm talent, not just in power, but accuracy and velocity and everything. Bears back on the clock. We went edge. I'm trying to decide if I want to go with another defensive position or if I want to add some firepower to the offense. I think with the way the board looks right now, it would probably be good to grab them a corner, especially with none off the board yet. So I'm going to go with pretty much everybody's number one corner in the class, Kool-Aid McKinstry. I I love the name. Everybody does. I think he is a talented corner, great athlete, and so I have no problem taking him at number 12. Just wasn't really willing to take a corner at around 7 or 8. Now Broncos on the clock. Let's ride. Um, Russell Wilson, we'll see. I mean, that was terrible last year. He's legendary corny, and he did not play very well. Sean Payton's been on his ass, saying he needs to stop with all the corny stuff and focus on actually playing football. We'll see how that goes. I am not too confident, honestly. I think Sean Payton's a good coach, but I don't think he's as good as people are making him out to be. He won a ring, yeah, won one ring, 15 years coaching with Drew Brees, so you never know what'll happen. But quarterback still be a possibility. Russell is in his 30s too. Corner, definitely potentially. I mean, Patrick Surtain is amazing, but not much after that. Pending to see how Russell Wilson does, I'm gonna go with the interior of that defensive line right now. Later mock drafts in the season, we could definitely go quarterback or potentially a different position, but I'm gonna go with my guy Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State. Seriously sick interior penetrator. He is a great pass rusher on the inside, very strong, good run defender. I think he really covers all the bases of what you want from an interior defensive lineman. Now for the Patriots, definitely positions we could go here. They don't have Johnny Smith anymore, and I believe Hunter Henry is on a different team now. Where is he now? Is he still on the Patriots? Yeah, he is. Okay. I don't know why I thought he was on a different team now. But yeah, so they still have Hunter Henry, so I'm not going to go tight end. Receivers potential. I mean, they keep getting these training camp standouts. Nothing really ever comes out of it. Although I guarantee since I said that on video, I'm going to be wrong now. Demario Douglas is going to be like the best receiver of all time. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to work on bolstering that offensive line. Could be through a tackle. I like Kingsley Sua. I'm usually good with the Samoan and Pacific Islander pronunciations, but I'm going to be honest, I haven't worked on this one yet. So Sua Matea, we're going to go with that for now. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. We're gonna take him out of BYU for the Patriots. He's an older prospect, but the Patriots don't care about anything like that. They'll probably take a guy who's projected in the 4th round, and then he'll be an All-Pro. So Pittsburgh Steelers, corner, huge need, linebacker, big need. Oh my God, I forgot about this. Yeah, this website has Leatu Latu as a linebacker in terms of like an off-ball linebacker. However, he is a edge rusher. He's an outside linebacker. can play off ball, but is primarily an edge rusher. So I got to remember that he's in there. I don't think I'm comfortable taking Jeremiah Trotter or Barrett Carter here in the top 15. And then like interior D line, definitely potentially. There's so many six safeties in this class. We'll see if they all go early or all go late. You never know. I think we're going to go corner, though. We've only had one go off the board so far. We'll go with Kalen King at a Penn State. Really solid corner. Been relatively shut down for Penn State. Got tested a lot last year because of Joey Porter Jr., but we'll see about that this year. Played pretty well so far. Minnesota Vikings on the clock. It wants me to go quarterback. I really don't have a problem with that at all. Kirk Cousins is also getting older, and I mean, he has been solid, but he is more of a game manager type quarterback where you want a guy with better arm strength, who's more mobile. He has good accuracy, but you want a guy who's to be able to make the offense a little bit more two dimensional, especially without Dalvin Cook now. And you go Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. I think after week one, he definitely deserves to be in the round one mock draft so far. We'll see. He might come right back out, but putting up a dominant performance like that against a team that was just in the national championship, nothing to scoff at. Now, Houston Texans on the board, they don't really have any good receiver talent for their rookie quarterback. I mean, John Mechie, Nico Collins, they have Robert Woods now, I think, or maybe Brandon Cooks. Robert Woods is on the they have Robert Woods. So we're gonna go with we still haven't any receivers go off the board besides Marvin Harrison Jr. I like Emeka Egbuka, but I think he's more of a slot receiver. We're gonna go with a guy who had a absolutely sick week one performance. Go with Keon Coleman, and it still has him at Michigan State, although we know he is not at Michigan State. Sick returner, great receiver, had an amazing performance. We're probably going to end up taking both of these Florida State receivers pretty early. Johnny Wilson, 6'7". He just could not be covered. He could not be tackled. He had over 100 yards receiving as well. Now the Chargers back on the board. They definitely need some help in the interior of their defensive line. So we're going to go with Jerzon Newton out of Illinois here. Super big breakout player last year, really talented. Definitely, I'm very high on Jerzon Newton. Now the Saints, I don't know if I agree with receiver being their number one need. Chris Olave has been really, really good. Excuse me. There are still some really good receivers on the board. However, I think I'm probably going to go with grabbing them a edge rusher since Laiatu Latu is still sticking around on the board. 3 sacks week one. We'll go with Laiatu Latu of UCLA. Giants back on the board. They so desperately need an X receiver so bad. They've got so many like shifty deep threats and slot receivers and gadget receivers. They don't have an X receiver. They don't have a true wide receiver one. So we're going to try to change that. And we're going to grab them Johnny Wilson out of Florida State. Good luck covering him. He is 6'7" and cannot be tackled. I don't know if any of you guys watched the Florida State LSU game. Took like 3 guys to tackle him every time. I mean, he's wearing long sleeves at a game in Florida in early September. Like, he is just a dog. And then we got Detroit Lions on the clock. Corner, definitely humongous need. They don't even have Jeff Okudah anymore, even though he wasn't as good as they thought he was going to be with a top 3 pick, but definitely need corner. We're going to go with my next corner on the board, Denzel Burke out of Ohio State. Ben's pretty solid. Another Denzel corner for Ohio State. Seems like a really classic corner name, Denzel Burke. I don't know why, but that seems like a perfect cornerback name. All right. Miami Dolphins on the board. They need to hope and pray that Tua doesn't get injured again, because that'll be the end of their end of the Tua era in Miami, with him being a pretty much one injury away from never playing again. I'm looking for Zach Zinter. I don't know where he is. Did I pass him already, or is he not on here? I don't know why he wouldn't be on here. Maybe he's on tackles. There you go, Zach Zinter. Uh, thought that he's probably going to be an interior offensive lineman. Patrick Paul has played really well so far as well. Definitely somebody you could see go in the first round. I'm going to go Zach Zinter though right here. Could play tackle, but probably going to play interior line for in the NFL. Then we got the Jaguars here. A lot of directions you can go as well. Still some good interior D linemen on the board. But I think this is where we're going to have our first safety go off the board. And we're going to have a guy who's extremely versatile, real fluid in coverage, great mover, great athlete. We go with Cameron Kinchins out of Miami. Miami has a great safety duo this year, sort of reminiscent of back in the days when they had Sean Taylor and Ed Reed and all them. I'm not comparing Cameron Kitchens and James Williams to Ed Reed and Sean Taylor talent wise, but the dynamic is sort of similar with one of them being a fluid cover guy, another one of them being a big hitter, blow a play up, great run defender. So that's interesting. Jets back on the board, or actually, I guess this is their first pick, but let's see. Offensive line probably going to be in the cards for them with Mekhi Becton looking like he can't play a full season. Receiver, I think, is probably fine for now, although there are still a bunch of them available. Yeah, I don't hate the idea of going receiver. So many good ones still available on the board. Yeah, I think we're probably going to go receiver, and I think we're going to go with Rome Odunze, my personal favorite receiver in this class. Not the best one, but my personal favorite. Seattle Seahawks back on the board. I need to stop saying back on the board when it's their first pick. But definitely a bunch of options. They just re-signed Geno Smith, so I'm probably not going to go quarterback. D line, potentially. I think around here I'd be confident taking a linebacker. So I think I'm going to go with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of Clemson. Ravens on the board. Cornerback, definitely a good need. I'm not too sure about a lot of these guys, though. I'd be all right with taking Nate Wiggins here, though. I know he's ranked lower, but I'd be all right with taking Nate Wiggins out of Clemson for the Ravens here. Cowboys on the board. Receiver, yeah, definitely a need. Tackle as well. Could see Amarius Mims go here. Could see Patrick Paul go here. And I wouldn't hate Jack Nelson. However, with all the receiver talent on the board and this being a relatively deep tackle class, I think we're probably going to go with grab them a solid slot receiver. Grab them Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. I think he's fallen far enough. Bills on the board, receiver, a little bit of a need as well. Safety too, with their safety duo getting old and getting injured more often now. So I think we're gonna go with Kalen Bullock out of USC. Very versatile safety. Another one of those guys that's fluid in coverage, great mover. San Francisco 49ers on the board. Definitely need help on the offensive line badly. No more Mike McGlinchey, even though he wasn't all he was cracked up to be. So here we're gonna grab Amarius Mims out of Georgia, a really strong, big player. Probably going to go back to back tackles here, honestly. I know all the Bengals fans like to say is that Joe Burrow doesn't have a good enough offensive line every time he messes up. So try to take those excuses away. Grab him Patrick Paul at Houston. Last two picks of the first round. We got the Eagles on the clock. Definitely a lot of options they could go. Safety, potentially. Linebacker, potentially, although I think they're probably fine there. We go with Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Another one of the white DBs who Iowa has been producing lately that are actually good enough to play in the NFL. We had Riley Moss last year, now Cooper DeJean. He's definitely a talented safety. Yep. There we go. Prototypical safety right here. And then last pick of the first round, we got the Chiefs on the board. And I'm trying to think, there's so many players here that I wish I could have fit in the first round. I wasn't able to make them in. I think that Chop Robinson, Mason Smith, Xavier Worthy, Raylan Trice, Bo Nix, a lot of these guys I think should have gone in the first round. Javon Bullard, Raheem Sanders. However, I think we're going to go with the Chiefs' biggest need right now is unsure what's going to happen with Chris Jones. Grab them. I think I'm going to go Mason Smith at LSU. All right, there we go. First mock draft for the 2024 season out of the way. Saw a lot of sorry about all these ads. Saw a lot of interesting players go at interesting spots. We got a lot of quarterbacks going in the beginning, or not a lot, but really talented ones with Caleb Williams going to Washington, Drake May going to Tampa. I think Marvin Harrison going to the Cardinals would be cool. Ola Fashanu and Joe Alt help bolster these offensive lines. Some good edge talent, generational tight end talent, more offensive linemen. Raiders getting a new quarterback with Michael Penix Jr. The Vikings getting a new quarterback as well. Jordan Travis and Bo Nix definitely could have came in here. Maybe Quinn Ewers. Just want to see a little bit more before I make a formative decision on that. Start to see a little bit of a run on receivers. Bunch of corners and DBs. Couple tackles to close it out. All right, thank all you guys for watching. And this has been another video for Sandcomb Scouting. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. If there's anything you want me to cover, make sure to post it in the comments, and I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. Thank you, guys.